Okay, we've got the recording is on now. So you want to start with the joint meeting of the IDA and CRC audit committees?
Yep. All right. Well, we will begin the joint meetings for the IDA and CRC. Do we want to start with the IDA first? And we'll go with the IDA audit one.
I guess, I believe, Chris, if you're there, I mean, you're going to basically talk. I think it probably should just be a joint meeting of both, and Chris will, because he's going to say kind of the same thing for both of them.
Okay. So then we'll begin with the joint Audit and Finance Committee meeting for the CRC and IDA. That'll be presented by Steve. I'm sorry, by Chris.
Chris, do we have?
First item on the agenda, though. Do we want to do the approval of the minutes first, Steve?
Yeah, so you probably should do the approval of the minutes for the IDA audit committee, and then approval of the minutes for the CRC audit committee.
All right, so we'll start with the IDA. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes from the IDA meeting on October 23rd, 2020?
Sue?
Sue, do I have a second?
Second.
Jim was second. Any further discussion on that? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, great. All right, Chris, I'm gonna approve the, gonna jump over to CRC now. Do I have a motion to approve the October 23rd, 2020 meeting for the Audit and Finance Committee for the CRC?
Motion.
Jim, do I have a second?
I'll second. Albert.
Albert, great. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, great. All right, again, I'm going to pass the mic over to Chris. He's going to be doing a combined presentation for the audit and finance for both the CRC and the IDA. Chris, you're on mute.
Chris, on mute.
Hey, Chris, can you hear us? You're on mute. Still on mute, can't hear you. At the bottom of your screen. There you go.
All right, there we go.
Great.
All right, I hope everyone's having a good day today. Let's start with the agenda of my presentation. Essentially, what I want to do is go over what the scope of our services are related to the audit of the IDA and the CRC during the current year, what our responsibilities is as auditors, what management's responsibilities for the financial statements are, a little bit about our audit approach and the concept of materiality. We'll give the audit committee and finance committee a chance to provide any thoughts or concerns they have. We'll kind of go over the timetable a little bit, and as well as introduce who the professional service team is for the current year engagements. We've engaged in the current year to audit the financial statements of the Detroit Industrial Development Agency and the Capital Resource Corporation. And as part of that engagement, we also will assist management with the preparation of the draft financial statements and supplemental schedules. Our responsibility as auditors, there tends to be somewhat of an expectation gap between what people think an audit is and what an audit actually is. An audit provides reasonable but not absolute assurance. We generally do audit. We sample. We test by sampling. So there's always somewhat of a risk that there could be a misstatement that we don't catch. But the main responsibility for us is to form an opinion on whether the financial statements have been presented fairly in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. We do consider your internal controls of the organization to the extent that allows us to plan and perform our audit and to select the audit procedures as we consider appropriate for given circumstances. We do not test your controls in order to issue an opinion on them. However, if we do become aware of some issues in internal control, we will communicate those to you during the audit. Ultimately, as I said, since there is somewhat of a gap between what people think an audit is and what it actually is, you guys should be aware that having an audit doesn't relieve your responsibility. You should be reviewing the financials of the organization throughout the year. Management's responsibility for the financial statement. They are ultimately responsible for the financial statements. We will help draft them, but management has to review those financial statements prior to their issuance and take responsibility for them. They're responsible for implementing internal controls over financial reporting to ensure that all transactions are properly recorded. They're responsible for compliance with laws, regulations in grant agreements. They're responsible for accuracy and completeness of the accounting records. And as I said before, they are responsible for assuming responsibility for all the non-attest services that we provide. That's mainly related to assisting with the preparation of the financial statements. The IDA and CRC don't have an IRS Form 990, but we do assist with the preparation of financial statements. Audit approach materiality, we do take a risk-based approach. What that means is we gather an understanding of how transactions flow through the organization, and we identify the areas that we consider are the highest risk for misstatement, and we plan to perform an audit to address those risks. We'll hear someone talk about the concept of materiality throughout an audit, and that essentially something that's material. If it's inclusion or omission or a misstatement of some sort would change the judgment of a reasonable financial statement user. So that someone has some understanding of financial statements and financial reporting. They can be both qualitative and quantitative considerations. So something can be relatively small quantitatively, but if it has a qualitative impact on the financial statements, that is considered, it could have a qualitative impact on the financial statements, so it's considered material. Tolerable misstatement, that's essentially the maximum dollar threshold of error we're willing to accept before we were to change our opinion. If we identify misstatements that exceed that amount, we either have to issue a different opinion or require you to make adjustments to your numbers. Use of estimates. All financial statements do include estimates in them. A couple of the more significant estimates from your financial statements in the past have been the collectability of the outstanding receivables, and also the estimated value of the land held for resale. That's specifically for the IDA itself. You do have land there that is valued as estimated fair market value on the financial statements. As I said, as a board and the audit committee does have a key oversight of not only the audit process, but the financial reporting of the organization throughout the year. In planning or audit, we always like to give you guys the opportunity to inform us of any concerns that you may have or any particular areas you would want us to pay specific attention to. That could be related to internal control, high-risk audit areas, any concerns over fraud, or any other matters that you may have issues with. I did give you our contact information. That's at the end of this presentation. If there's anything that someone is concerned about, they're uncomfortable bringing up in this situation, then you feel free to contact I'll set those numbers, and we will have that addressed. With that being said, does anyone have any questions, concerns they would like to communicate to me?
Chris, I'll ask if nobody else is. What's an ETA on having the final reports done, do you think?
We'll get to the time frame in just a minute.
Okay.
This one, I will point out, we're going to do our best to meet that time frame, given the nature of the current year audit, everything being remote. We're still getting some stuff that we've requested for. We're going to do our best to meet that timeline. There is always the potential that we might have to push things back a little bit, but we're going to try to avoid that if we can. If no one has any other concerns, we'll move on to the timetable. This is the kickoff meeting today. We have started our preliminary audit work. We've done the audit planning, and we are in the middle of the field work currently. Our goal is to present the drafts to the board on the March 19th meeting, which is a month from today. We would hope to have you the draft reports by March 12th. That gives you a week to look at them before we present to the board. Does that timetable work for you, Steve?
Steve, you're muted. Steve, you're muted. So it looks like you're talking right now. Still muted.
Sorry. And I'm sorry, I got distracted on something. What date did you have?
In order to present to the board on the March 19th, we'll hope to have you the drafts to you by the 12th.
Yeah, okay. That should be fine.
Okay. Okay, if no other concerns, the last slide is the professional service team that's assigned to the job. Thomas O'Donnell's the firm partner that's assigned to the job. I'm the senior audit manager. And also Frank Frucci, who's our quality assurance partner. He will review the engagement before it goes out the door as well. Any of us can be reached at that email or phone number if you have any questions or concerns. If there's no other questions or concerns, that's all I have for you.
Great. Thanks, Steve. I'm going to assume that nobody has any questions for Chris at this moment, since he has asked, and I just wanted to confirm nobody else has any questions regarding the audit presented by Chris. All right, then I'm going to call for a motion to adjourn the Audit and Finance Committee meeting for both the IDA and CRC. Do I have a motion to adjourn both of those meetings?
I make the motion.
And that was
Stephanie.
Stephanie.
You're on.
Great. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second,
Thanks,
Jim.
Jim.
Great. Any opposed? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great. We are adjourned. Thanks,
Okay, let me
Chris. We
stop.
appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Let me stop the recording and start it up again.
All right.